What's happening, guys? Boss Sniper Bivetto bringing you a Nioh video. Purpose of the video is to show you how to get all the way through the first level quickly as possible, opening up all three of the shrines and all the shortcuts and showing you how to run straight to the boss if that's what you want to do. I'm going to run past most of the mobs. I made a bit of a meal out of this first guy and I don't fight many others after him. There's plenty of other videos I'll show you how to get every item in the area. That's absolutely not what this video is about. Just showing you the quickest and easiest way to get through. I got very bogged down in this first section in particular when I first started playing the game, not quite sure where I was supposed to be going. Spending a lot of time going over to the right hand side over there, past those buildings. We're absolutely not doing that today. We're going to run up here to the left. Now coming up in front of us, there's a guy standing there right now. He's holding a torch. Above him is a guy shooting arrows down. We're just going to ignore both those guys. The guy on the ground is pretty heavily armoured, and the guy firing fire arrows at you is a real pain. So coming around to this first shortcut now, just down here on the left hand side, this is a ladder you can go down, and when you get down to the bottom there's a ladder which you can kick, which takes you back down to the beachy area right next to where you first spawn at the start of the game. This is very, very helpful. So we'll kick it down, and as if you needed to be shown, you can run down this ladder and coming over to the shrine. So we'll go back up now and we'll go through to the second shrine, which is quite close by. A couple of mobs to run past, but they're not really worth engaging. First one is a dweller who's lurking down here on the floor. If you go over to the right, there's some items, but we're just going to go to the left towards the shrine. Here's the guy who's going to be shooting arrows above the heavily armoured mob down at the bottom, and there's a mob and an archer here as well. You don't have to fight them, you can just run straight past if you want to, like I've just done, and when we get to the shrine the area will reset and they're no longer following you. Now we're going to go up this little hill to our left. There's a guy waiting to ambush you at the top. I do recommend that you take him out. He's not particularly heavily armoured, so he's quite an easy kill. Now there's an archer down here at the bottom, and if you just hang back on this ledge here for a moment, he will come walking down past the front of this area, and you can do a drop attack on him. I actually make a bit of a mess of it here, but because he's just an archer, he's not very heavily armoured. Now this enclosure that we're coming up to with a building in the middle, if you go around to the right there's 3 or 4 mobs who will all attack you at once. They're very difficult to take out one at a time, but we're just going to sneak straight past them. Here in this building there's a swirl of fog, and that means there's a fiend. We do have to take this guy on because up past him in the top right hand corner is a glowing item which is a key to get out of here, so he's necessary to fight. I've got something called a water charm which I can apply to my weapon, which makes him quite straightforward. If you haven't got these things, I think the first time I beat him I just used some of the other items I picked up in the area, some hand grenades, and just took him out at range. He wasn't particularly difficult if you took your time and were careful with him. So here's the residence key. Now it's possible to just hang in this doorway, wait around for a few minutes for the guy who's patrolling the area to disappear off to the right. On this occasion, because he's on his own, he's not going to trigger a lot of other fights, so I've decided to take him on. Again, he's not the hardest enemy in the world. He's going to take a few hits to take him down. Just take your time with him. So, residence key used. We're going to go down this pathway here. This area in front of us is a bit of a maze. It's quite difficult to navigate, particularly when you don't know where you're going. I'm going to show you a route through it. I'm going to show you how to open up all the shortcuts, and ultimately we want to open this door which is just to the right hand side of the shrine, and that door gives you a very quick shortcut down to the boss from the shrine. You can literally run 60 seconds and be in the boss fight. So sneaking down this side of the building will avoid conflict with the first dweller who's lurking around. That's the second dweller, and here's the first fiend Again, we can run past him quite safely because we know that there's a ladder coming up. Going around this side of the well takes you past the armoured guy as well. The roofs of this area are full of archers, and there are also holes which appear in the roofs. This is a hole directly in front of us here, be careful not to fall into that. There's another hole in the roof there, and we're going to drop down now, and we need to get back onto the roof elsewhere. Coming around this side of the building avoids a fiend. The more quickly you go, you can avoid that dweller too. I'm going to climb up this ladder. Now, when we're on the roofs, there's going to be a couple of guys that we can't avoid fighting. We could try, but it runs the risk of falling down, and we've already built quite a collection of people looking for us at the bottom. Taking this guy out with an arrow is best strategy. I've really made a mess of it on this run, but just to show you, you can still do it anyway. So we're coming up to the second shortcut. We're just going to get rid of this guy here. The second shortcut is quite close at this point. So finish him off. Ignore the guy who's sniping at us. So across this bridge here, this is where we actually ultimately want to go. This takes us down to the area where the boss is. But before we do that, we'll open up the shortcut which is just behind us. So come back to the edge of this roof here and just kick this ladder down. That will save some time if you have to repeat the area. So we're going to run straight past this fiend. We're going to drop down to the left hand side. We're going to go straight through this door in front of us. There's a dweller in here, but it takes him a second to get himself up, and we can use that second to escape. We're going down the side of the building. I'd forgotten you actually have to kick this ladder down. If you wanted to just run to the boss area straight away, take a left here behind that guy who's patrolling. I've come around this way instead, and that's because I want to open up another shortcut which will actually save a great deal of time if you need to come back in here again. So up onto this roof. I made a bit of a pig's ear of this guy. You can actually sneak up behind him. If you're not being pursued by other mobs, you can sneak up behind that guy quite easily and get an easy kill. Also on your title sheet you get rewarded for the number of sneak attacks, so sneaking up on him a few times is a pretty simple way of getting that achievement. So we've kicked down that bucket of water, and that has extinguished the fire behind the very first fiend close to the third shrine in this area. Because that water has extinguished the fire, that means you can actually just run straight down there instead of doing this whole roof business. So that's actually a very, very useful shortcut if you need it. Maybe made obsolete by this next shortcut right here. Ignore all these guys in this area, run up this cave path here and open this door, which you might remember was just next to our shrine. So the shrine's gone dark, that means we're being pursued by a mob. Let's just take him out. Nice and easy, does it? Okay, so mob's down, shrine's available, reset the area, and we'll just show you how to get into the boss fight. So full health, everything restored. I'm just going to run down this path. The boss is on the boat which is in the harbour. If you time this right, you can get past both these guys and not get hit. I did not time it right, so I got hit by both of them. That can happen, but you're very close to the shrine. And after a short cutscene, here you are in the boss fight. I hope this has been helpful to you guys. Good luck, and if you like the video, please like or comment underneath. Thanks.